Hello guys, in this video you will see how the three most popular cameras in the world, the new Samsung S23 Ultra, the iPhone 14 Pro Max and the Sony FX30 with the 10 to 20mm f4
to really perform side by side in video, low light, sharpness, mixed light and more.
And which is the best? But one of them I cannot recommend anymore. The Sony FX30 should be best in all image categories, but it doesn't use AI, so is it better in reality? I put timestamps below for every section so you can skip to the parts you want to see or find more important. Grab a cup of coffee and let's go to the first two categories, sound and stabilization.
Okay guys, real vlogging test. How does it look with the main camera? I don't know. You tell me. This is typical Dutch, eh? Everywhere windmills, windmills, windmills. The original frame is adorned with the title of the painting, Vincent. The work is a cubist but mainly futurist elements in its swirl movement, which are painted in 1915. A year before he meets the founder of the style, Theo van Doesburg, and begins working in his later abstract geometric style. Oké, een beetje rennen. Een beetje rennen, rennen, rennen. Rennen, rennen. Joost, ga eens een beetje rennen. Rennen.
So, I think the Samsung wins here and gets 3 points. The stabilization of the Samsung is slightly better than the iPhone, and FX30 doesn't compete with them, so it gets only 1 point. It's really shaky compared to the others. For these tests I have set the Sony Cinemaline camera, the FX30, to automatic everything to get a similar experience as with shooting on the phones. And the color profile I set it to S-Cinetone, so you don't need to color grade or correct it afterwards in your editing program. Editing. The next category is backlight.
Yeah. Are you getting FX30 is not doing it. And then this way.
The Sony is slow to change the exposure, and in many cases a little bit darker in its exposure that you could adjust to let it expose a little bit brighter, but that's not the point of this test. I think the Samsung looks best and wins again. Next up is low light and mixed lighting. Probably the most exciting, looked after part of the testing for many of you. And boy, it gets crazy with the iPhone. I did not expect this. In the green room, the iPhone's white balance goes crazy, like it took a few pills too many. Really, really bad. A classical example of what white balance does and why pro filmmakers set it to a fixed number.
Almost dropped the phone.
But I don't know. That's probably user error. In candlelight, the 14 Pro is ugly compared to the other two, while the S23 does a really decent job. But for me here, the FX30 shines. It has rich natural colors and a good dynamic range. Now you can really see the quality of the sensor. Even with the AI software, the phones do not know what to do with the bright light of the candle. Finally, 3 points for the most expensive cinema camera. And I also have a video that shows you what the worst image looks like of the Sony FX30. The next category is slow motion. The Samsung is just amazing. When you want something quick in slow-mo, it rules. But the Sony is great and has better image quality, but it's a different process to work with. It takes a little bit more time. And the next category is sharpness. $8K on the Samsung. Do I need to say anything more? It wins. It's the best. It gets 3 points. And second place is for the iPhone, and the Sony is the least sharp. The only question is, do you really need this 8K sharpness? Next up, the selfie camera. I don't know if you're going to use the selfie camera or you're going to use the main camera. Of course, with the main camera, you have better image quality, but you cannot see yourself. And for what I've seen with especially the S23, I don't know if it's necessary to use the main camera, and you can just simply use the selfie camera. You can set the background blur on the phones, and the S23 does a much better job than the iPhone. It's clearer around the head, while the iPhone cuts off hair and blurs too much of your face. I even wonder if this is the reason why it has trouble focusing sometimes. In this dim lit museum, the phones get really noisy, adjusting for the loss of light, while the Sony has no problems at all. For the Sony I use the 10 to 20mm f4 lens. Of course, that does not have a lot of background blur, but it's real organic. And you get bokeh balls, which you do not get with the phones, because they just blur the background. It's not the real thing like you get with the lens. Well, the Sony is best in my opinion. It's simply the most pleasing image of the three, the most natural. And here are some more images to compare the overall image quality. The phones want to make you more pretty with their AI, but I don't think it's really working. It doesn't always look nice, and especially with the iPhone, I don't like it. It's not good. And guys, there are also real flaws and differences. I did not expect to see any focusing issues, but the biggest flaw in this comparison that I cannot wrap my head around is the not focusing of the iPhone. It kept on focusing on the background. I don't understand, Apple, what is happening here? It's a small sensor, it should be much easier to focus, and you cannot get it right?
No. The Samsung doesn't focus on the people, and the iPhone does.
If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comments below. Blah blah blah. And now the conclusion. Okay. There are real differences between cameras, and specifications don't tell the whole story. And the story here is that the Samsung wins. You see with the scoring of the points. Thanks guys. See you in the next one. Bye.